Hello there, it's Bill, your Stoic pilgrim. So, as I said in my other videos, I'm staying at a agriturismo. Those are working farms that also serve as kind of like a bed and breakfast for those who are familiar with the concept. It's actually quite nice here. They have a killer apple juice that I really enjoyed. But so as I was walking, I've been thinking, which is my custom, and I was thinking about what happened this morning as we were getting ready to go. I was talking with some of the other pilgrims that were staying in my albergue, and it was kind of interesting because they were saying some folks had started their Camino in San Sebastian. I started a little bit before that. I started in Arun. Others have decided that they're not going to do the Del Norte all the way, that they're going to change routes at some point, maybe to the Primitivo. I'm reminded also of this one pilgrim where it was really rainy and she didn't really want to deal with going up those steps in on the way into San Sebastian, so she considered doing that in the rain at least. That would have been horrible in the rain. She considered using the bus, and and even some folks, what they'll do is they'll have their luggage transported. I haven't seen too many transport services here in on Del Norte, but on the Francaise, it's very common to see people use transport services, and all of that's valid. I mean, there's no. In fact, somebody said to me today something about cheating, and I said, well, there's no cheating on the Camino. Everybody walks their own Camino, and that's true. And one of the cool things about life is, or the Camino is, that it is a microcosm in many ways of life. When you look at the Camino, you you can there's a great many life lessons. Is one of the many reasons why I enjoy it. And one of those lessons is we all walk our own Camino. We all live our life the way we wish to live our life. And this is a line I threw out yesterday that I kind of want to throw out to get through, that I kind of want to throw out again today. A line, something that I believe it was Sartre that said that existence precedes essence. And I really think this is an important concept for us to grasp. Our existence, our essence, who we are, we determine. Therefore, we must first exist to determine what our essence is, who we are, what we are. What are those, I call it essential attributes. Essential attributes. What are those things that are necessary for you to be who you are? In other words, if you were to remove those things, you wouldn't be you anymore. I love to play guitar and read books. Well, what if somebody were to somehow magically take that away from me? I wouldn't be me anymore. There's certain things I love. I love Italian food. I love Italian culture. What if they were able to remove my Italianita from me? Well, I wouldn't be Bill anymore. And we all have those things. We all have those essential attributes. Those essential attributes, though, are things that we determine. Those are the things that we choose to be. I'm reminded of the part in Scripture where Paul and many people who believe in predetermination or predestination will quote this, where Paul says, if God decides to make some pots for derision and some for heaven, for salvation, then who are we to question? Does the pot turn to the potter and say, why did you make me this way? Paul's wrong in this. I'm sorry if that offends my Christian friends but Paul is wrong when he says this, because we're not pots. We're not inanimate objects we have sentience. We have the right of self-determination. We have the right, the ability to determine who we are. To do otherwise is objectification. I want to dwell on this point for just a second. A couple years ago, I made a classical guitar. I built it. It's an object. Well, I built it in conjunction with, under the direction of, and with a great deal of help from a local luthier. But I determined that it was to come into existence. I determined why it was to come into existence, because it's supposed to play music, or it's supposed to be a tool for me to create music. Those are objects. When we use other people as a means to an end, we're objectifying them. This is one of the problems with lust. Forgive me for bringing up such an adult subject, but this is the problem with lust. Lust is using the person as an object for sexual gratification, whereas love and physical love is where it's a mutual coming together of two people, and it's that the person is no longer a means to an end, but an end in and of itself, in and of themselves. And these are what people are. So the idea that Paul would say that, well, we're pots, and if God makes us to be pots for derision, and I won't even get into I'll come back to that. But if Paul is wrong to say, well, we're pots, and if God decides to make us this way or make us that way, well, no, we're not objects. We're not to be objectified. We're not made for a purpose. We determine what our purpose is. Again, I'm sorry to my Christian friends if this is offensive to them. And the idea that a God, a benevolent God, would intentionally create sentient beings for evil, to be sent to hell ultimately, this concept of predetermination is ludicrous. I reject it wholeheartedly. God would never create someone with the expressed intention of them going to hell. That's wrong. That's wrong. I don't care. There may be people out there that, okay, I'm getting uptight about this one, aren't I? Well, people out there may disagree with me, but they're wrong too. So the idea is that we're not made for a purpose. We determine what our purpose is. Again, existence, we first exist, precedes essence, and then we determine who we are. Now, some might see some conflict here between that and the concept of amor fati, love fate, love your fate. I don't, but I don't believe in fate in that sense. I don't believe that there is something out there, God or whatever, the fates, the three women that, cut the string from Greek mythology. I don't believe there's some sort of intelligence that's going to say, this is what Bill is going to be, this is what Bill is going to become. I don't believe that for anybody. Bill determines within his span of control, and we'll go into this in a bit, who Bill is. But there is such a thing as fate in the sense that there are things, many, many things, in fact, most things, that are outside of our sphere of control. Example, diabetes runs in my family. I've got to keep an eye on my blood sugar. So my fate, one might say, is possibly having diabetes. My fate was to be bald. There's nothing I can do about that. And there are things that are totally outside of my control. I worked for a large corporation, Oracle, in fact, and at one point I got laid off. Well, I did the best job I could, or at least I thought I tried to do the best job I could, but the economic reasons, they decided they needed to cut a certain number of people, and I happened to be within that number that got cut. It was outside of my control. There's lots of things that are outside of our control. Health issues. Had a relative that came down with cancer. can't really do anything about that. But that doesn't mean that we can't take charge of the things within our control. Don't smoke. Eat properly. I eat properly to maintain my blood sugar, to make sure that I exercise, and I watch what I eat. And while there's fate in the sense that there are certain things that happen to you, there's also this idea that you have to take control of your life and control the things you can control. How we respond to something. If you get laid off, how do you respond to that being laid off? If you have diabetes, how do you respond to that? If you have health issues or cancer or whatever, how do you respond to that? So amore fati really is saying, okay, this thing happened to me, and don't get to a point where it's like, you bemoan the thing that happens to you, but it's like, okay, now that this has happened, what do I do? This actually, again, returning back to the Camino for a moment, I was doing something the other day, and I lost something that I thought was important. And at that point, it happened. And it's like, rather than bemoan that and focus on the fact that it was lost and get all aggravated and upset about it being lost, I stopped and thought, okay, it's lost, it's gone, it's done, period. Now, what do I got to do next? What do I got to do to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish without that thing? So to me, that's what amore fati means. Now, there may be people out there that are greater experts than I when it comes to Stoicism. I'm just learning about this stuff, so I may not be great at it, and there may be experts that would disagree with what I'm saying. There may not be. But this is what amore fati is, and this is what I mean by existence precedes essence. So that's my meditation for today. We all walk our own Camino, and that's about it from your Stoic Pilgrim. And I'll see you tomorrow, and hope you're having a wonderful evening. Ciao tutti, buon camino.